our next example is one where we're paying multiple invoices on the same date. And this may seem tricky, but it's actually just separating it into two separate problems. So yes, you have the same payment date, so at the very end you'll add up the total amounts you'll pay, but if you just treat it as completely two separate problems, once you recognize this, I think it's an issue because we'll see in the next example after this what happens if you have one big invoice and you make many payments to pay it off. So you just have to keep track of what type of question you're looking at. I know because we typically will often ask you one of each type, but I'll have to see what we have this term on the test, depending which term you're watching this. But yes, so the idea is we have two different invoices. They're both being paid on October 16th, but that means they happen to have the same terms, but they have different invoice dates. So let's just look at each one individually. You received two invoices. The first is dated October 1st for $1,200, $1,200. The second is dated October 14th for $700. Both have terms 1.510, 115, net 30. So 1.5% discount up till day 10. Then for the next 5 days after that, day 11 through day 15, you can get a 1% discount. And then after that, from day 16 through day 30, just no discount. You decide to pay them both off in full on the same date, October 16th. How much would you pay in total? And like I say, I put a hint here just to remind. Work out each invoice separately, then just add the net amounts at the end. Okay, so I've listed a bunch of the information already. Feel free to pause and try it yourself if you like. Our first invoice is for $1,200, dated October 1st, paid October 16th. So what day number is that? Like I say, you can either just take because we have two different invoice dates, I think in this case, and one payment each time, I think it does make sense just to figure out, okay, October 16th is day number what? But you could easily also say, oh, October 1st plus 10 is October 11th, so that's you can get the discount of 1.5% on this invoice up till October 11th, and on this one up till 1 plus 15, October 16th. But I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to say October 16th. If it's in the same month like this, super handy. 16 minus 1 is 15. So 16 minus 1 equals day number 15, which means a looking at the two different problems, a 1% discount. And like I say, you can just take 1% off the amount. $1,200, 1% of that is $12. So 1,200 minus 12 is $1,188. But I'm going to put it in the formula just for good practice, and because we will be using the formula on some future questions for sure. So that's 1,200 times 1 minus 0.01 bracket. So that is 1,200 times 0.99, which is, as we mentioned, 1188. $1,188 owing. Let's do this question. $700 invoice, dated October 14th, paid October 16th. You know what? And obviously it's within the first 10 days. I don't need you to necessarily tell me that. It's helpful to tell me the day number so you know what you're doing on the test. But yeah, obviously it's within the first 10 days, so yes, it's the 1.5% discount. But otherwise, 16 minus 14 equals, it's day number 2, so that's a 1.5% discount. So that's 700 times bracket 1 minus 0.015. Careful on those decimal places, that's 0.015 is 1.5%. So not 0.15, which would be 15%. So that's 700 times 0.985, which is equal to, not something I do in my head, 689.50. 689.50. Yes, decimal places are still important here. And so how much do we end up paying? Sorry, I meant to leave some space somewhere for this. I'll just put it here. So the total, we're just going to add, so we'll just add those up. 1188 plus 689.50. Total owing is 1877.50. So it's not too complicated. It's just easy, I think, to get lost in the numbers, especially if we also include a mailing, the date the invoice arrived in the mail and things. But yeah, just treat it as two separate calculations and then just add it up at the very end. So October 16th is the day you're paying, but in each case you have to look separately. They'll probably have the same terms, but they'll have different invoice dates. So that's why you do have to look and say, well, the $1,200 we paid 15 days later, so it gets 1% off. The $700 we paid 2 days later, so it gets 1.5% off.